Hello friends, my name's Andy. I'm here to talk to you about being a booking agent and also hope to give you a bit of insight so that you can figure out how you can get a booking agent for your project or your band. So yeah, I think probably the first thing to remember, which is kind of key, is booking agents tend to be quite connected with kind of managers or with labels or existing infrastructures, and they have their own kind of agenda a lot of the time. So it's sometimes you can spend a lot of time sort of trying to get a booking agent's attention and all this kind of stuff, but ultimately they've got their own ideas about what they want to work on and who they want to book, and they're already watching loads of bands and artists and people, so they've got their kind of, they're reaching out to people to try and book them. So oftentimes you'll write to an agent and it'll just be too much for them to take on maybe like a new project that needs to be developed. From the perspective of a booking agent, it takes a lot of time, energy, effort, making mistakes, developing artists, and to try and build like a new artist up, just takes a heck of a lot of work. So there's a lot of things you can do yourself as an artist to get the band, the project, whatever, up to a like fairly high level where you're playing at festivals and touring all kind of by yourself, like DIY. Of course, there's no one like a single fit for every single artist of like, this is how you do it. It depends. There's also kind of no hard and fast rules. I think if you can kind of follow your own instincts quite a lot, that's very, very helpful. I'm going to have to pause this. I've got a crying baby. Give me 1 second. So yeah, all that being said, there's sort of strategic things that you can do to position yourself so you're better placed to get picked up by an agent. You can go and find out like who the agent is working with. You can go onto a band or an artist's site that you like, and find out who their agency is. You can go and then look up that agency online, and you can find loads of other artists who are being represented by that agency or by those agents. With a bit of digging, you do get good at it once you start doing having a look around, trying to suss out who's doing what in the networks that you want to be present in and that you think are appropriate for you. So you can then position yourself in amongst those artists. You can try and get on the same shows, take cues from them. What are they doing that sets them out as being sort of like ready, or being having things in place that have made them appropriate, attractive, or whatever you want to say, to that agent or to that agency. So and there's obvious things like as an agent, I'm going to go to online sources, social media accounts, like to check out what an artist is doing, and I want like at every step of the way to not be kind of turned off by the way that they've represented themselves, or maybe the language they use or the imagery they use, the aesthetic, all of these things that are kind of unattractive to break down into words. But if we have to, then, these are the kinds of metrics or the kinds of places that those agents are looking, and they're checking to see the kinds of shows they've been playing and the artists that they've played with, and the kinds of press they've received. Have they been picked up by other media sources which are aligned to that artist, and the labels that they may have had their music released by, etc. So these are the kinds of considerations that an agent's making before they're making a decision to work with an artist. I mean, another sort of obvious thing to say is that agents are considering the payoff for the investment of time. An agent works hard for an artist to get their shows, get their careers sort of building, always to try and get paid more. I mean, they want to get paid more for the artist, they want to get paid more for themselves, they want to see a payoff for the amount of work they're putting in. So, it is true to say that agencies and agents are looking at an artist and they're just thinking, well, is it the right time for me to get involved? Like, does it make sense? Is it going to be worth the investment of time it's going to take? And it's never, ever easy, I guess. It's the sentiment that is probably echoing every other sort of music industry professional. It's never easy, it's just, no matter how hard you try, it's never, there's always extra challenges that you've never sort of predicted, and everything takes longer than you expect, and but that's just the way it is. I mean, if we wanted it to be easy, I suppose we wouldn't do this kind of work. But yeah, there's all those kinds of considerations, and then obviously, the way you go about getting on the actual radar of an agency, there's different ways you can do it. I mean, let's say you develop your project, you got a cool live show, it's like that's what you want to do. You want to go and play shows. You get some local stuff happening. You get booked onto some cool things here and there. You get a label that can kind of reach out on your behalf. I mean, in our world, our kind of niche experimental world, where the artists oftentimes know the programmers, they know the people that run the labels and stuff. It's kind of, it's often only like a few degrees of separation between the artist and the agent. So we'll hear about things from labels or from the artist. It's the point that I'm trying to make. Like, there's sort of nothing wrong with an artist. It won't make any difference to me if the artist writes to me. I mean, I say that, but it does make a difference to some artists. But oftentimes I get messages from artists themselves. Hello, I'm looking for an agent. That's a good thing I can do. I can tell you what have been successful approaches to me from artists. I've been approached by artists and they've said, hello, I know several artists off your roster, and I've heard about the great work you've done as an agent, and I can see many parallels with the work I do and the work of the other artists on your agency or whatever, and I feel like it would be a great fit for me. They send me some brief biographical information, they send me some links to some music, they tell me there's a record scheduled with a label that I've heard of or that I know, whatever, or even if I don't, I can go and check it out, and it turns out that I agree with the things they're saying, and they've sort of written like a personal email and it makes sense. Then I can sort of happily start a conversation with them about potentially working together, and I know some of the shows they've played before and the promoters are familiar to me, then I can see there's something to start with and to work on there. I don't have to just start completely from scratch, and that there's a continuity there with the stuff that we're already working on, and that I can see the sense, and that it's kind of like a two-way thing, yeah, they're good for the roster, and I can see that we will be good for them, and there'll be a symbiosis, and we will together work for one another, continuing as an agency. And it probably won't last forever. Artists always jump from one agency to another. So there we go. All right, have a good festival. Thank you very much.